My life is set against the backdrop of extended civil war between the North and South of Sudan, a war that claims over 2.5 million people. My mothers, I have 11 of us, and I was a middle child. 6 of my brothers and sisters were claimed by that civil war. So I became a second older to the 5 who are alive today. You see, when I was growing up in the greater Akobo, in a small village called Lit, I did what every child liked to do. We used to go to the forest to go hunt for honey and birds. And sometimes we go about our way to go mow mud as a cow just to imitate our way of life. In the evenings, we pick up fruits and then we bring them home to Mom. And then she prepared the food for us already. As soon as we finish eating, the firewood is being prepared. And then we sit around it and she starts telling us stories, the folktale stories. Those were the fondest memories of my life as a child. During the dry season, our father would order us to go to the greater Upper Nile, where our cow would graze green grass. Then we get an opportunity to go fishing, hunting. In the evening, we get to go to the functions where we sing songs about traditions. And also, it's always a message about those songs. So our life was very peaceful. One morning, I was awakened by the claps of AK-47. And my mom started screaming, Ger, wake up. We are about to die. So I woke up and my eyes was blurry, tried to see. I couldn't see anything. When I got an opportunity to see things, and then I was just seeing a lot of bullets flying through us because it was early in the mornings. You could see the flame of the bullets just flying by. My mom clutched little twins to her shoulder, and she started sprinting toward the Nile. My little sister and I, who was 7 years younger, and I'm 9 at the time, we started following our mom. We dove right into the water. We started swimming as fast as possible to go to the other end of the banks. When we got there, I started to see the glow of the sun. And we continued to run, and we dashed inside the long grass. And we went for quite some time running, and the bullets couldn't stop coming our way. We got to the area where there's a bunch of termite mounds. Mom sat me down and said, Ger, you got to sit here with your brothers and sisters so that I'm going to go look for your father, dead or alive. Mom took off. She left me with 3 little ones. And she started asking people, have you seen my husband Tabat? She continued to go on. Some of the people were hurt until Mom disappeared out of my sight. Later that evening, she said she even went and flipped dead bodies to see if she can find my father. But my father was fighting miles away. But a hail of bullets like that will make you forget which way to go and what to ask. Mom came back that evening. She brought fish. She fed us. And she strategized. She said, we have to go to Ethiopia. I said, where is Ethiopia? She said, toward the rising sun. Early in the morning, we start collecting our little possessions that we have, and we left walking to Ethiopia. I try to forget that day. I tried very hard, but I couldn't, because it was a day my life, or our lives, were shattered, and we were scattered everywhere. And then we were introduced as the new refugees in Ethiopia, which was our neighboring country. I lived in Ethiopia for 4 years in a refugee camp called Itang. Twin, they get to enjoy their one-day meals because food was provided by the UN Refugee Agency. My little sister and I, we enjoyed luxury of going to school under the tree where we had to scratch our ABCs on the ground. But something unusual was coming. The civil war erupted in Ethiopia in 1991 on May 26, I remember very well. That's the day that I lost contact with my mom, my brothers, and many of my siblings, and everybody ran separate directions. I ran towards Sudan by myself. I was about the age of 13. I walked in a flooded season, day in, day out, until I find a military base that had food and water and also security, and I didn't hesitate to join, and I became a child soldier. I spent months in a military base. My work was very basic. We prepare food, and sometimes we clean guns for the guys who really participate on a regular basis in fightings. But a huge battle came to our area, our military camps, where they killed most of my friends that I sleep with them in the same blankets every day, Madalat and Nyankur. I ran so fast until I forgot where I was going. That day was a turning point for me. That's when I asked myself, if I stay here in this country, Sudan, my life is going to end like Madalat and Nyankur. That's the day that I decided to really attach myself to the band of boys who were going to Ethiopia to seek for safety. We walked 520 miles. We were digging encampments and corpses who would try to risk our lives. Luckily, we got to Ethiopia, and we met a man who was driving a truck. We gave him a few bucks, and then he put us in his trucks, took us across Ethiopia all the way to the border, Ethiopia and Kenya. So we find other trucks, and they took me across Kenya, and then they took me to the refugee camps called Dadaab Ifo. Dadaab was a very desert place, barely tree there, 120 degrees every day. I find it tough to live there, but I had hopes to be there because we heard there was an opportunity to be resettled in the United States, Denmark, Norway, Canada. So I have something to live for. And I waited in that refugee camp for over a year, and it sounded like a decade to me when I was there. Trust me. One day, a blessing came from somewhere where our names appeared on the board of the UNHCR that we are elected to go to America. And I was very happy. Because they say if you get to America, you will go to school. You will get to work. So I was ready to work and provide for my family and those that I left behind. But I was very young at the time because I was only 15 years old. However, we went through the procedure where we have to go to the interview with a lawyer. Then we passed. And then from there, and then they took us from Ifo camp to Nairobi in the Riru refugee camp, right in the middle of Nairobi, so that we can do our medical check. We did our medical check, and 4 of us passed too. In 2 weeks, our name appeared again that we are flying to the United States. I remember coming close to the airplane. I never know airplane is as big as this. Even a guy who's 6 foot, I can walk and even go use the restroom inside the airplane. So I have a lot of mixed emotion, as you can imagine. I sat in there, and I was very quiet, because when something confused me, I go silent for a very long time. I couldn't believe this machine going to lift me up and take me all the way to a different land. And it did that evening. And I landed in JFK, not to live there, but to make a connection to go to where our sponsor was, which is Des Moines, Iowa. When I got to JFK, I never seen a place where I can't distinguish night and day, because it was so bright with so many lights. I'm seeing so many people walking many different directions. I don't know where they're going or where they're coming from, dragging suitcases. And here I am carrying the plastic bags. When we were in refugee camp, I thought Paul can speak good English. So Paul went around, tried to make a connection, asking these guys, "Do you know Des Moines, Iowa?" Guys, Des Moines, Iowa. It's like, "Give me your ticket." The guy looked at it, it's like, "Oh, this is Des Moines, Iowa." So that day I knew Paul English was dying. So we made our connection and we made it to Des Moines, Iowa. We were received by our colleagues who came a year before, show us around. My thoughts all about school. School is something that I was risking my life for. To come to the strange land where I have to learn how to live and how I have to learn to navigate and make something of myself. And the dream that one day I can go home or one day I can read and write, that was a motivation that I always have. I'm glad I can tell this story to you guys, not in my mother tongue, in your language. I was 16 years old. I was put in a class with American kids, Cambodian, Bosnians, who I had the same common ground with them because they were having the same trouble in their own country. And English was a second language to all of us. I work as hard as possible so that I can really understand what the teacher is saying. And I picked up the game of basketball, which became a huge part of my life that kept me grounded because I was dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. Basketball helped me. Luckily, I even got a scholarship out of high school when I graduated in 1998. And then I went on to college where I was playing college basketball at University of Bridgeport in Connecticut. And after I finished my degree, another opportunity was coming to me. It's called acting. I remember one afternoon, a friend of ours named Manute Bull, who was a superhero almost to all South Sudanese people, and is a well-known basketball player in America, invited us over to his house to audition for a movie for Universal. A guy, David Russell, wanted a guy from Sudan who have dealt with real-life experiences. So that day was just more like a reunion for me to see my South Sudanese people and play basketball. I got in front of the camera. I wasn't sure what I was doing. But 3 months later on, I was called there for the role in the movie that many thousands of guys all around the world was looking for that role. I was flying to LA, and the next things I know, I'm in a trailer with the people that I've been watching on TV, doing a rehearsal with them. He was Dustin Hoffman, next to me, Lily Tomlin, Jude Law, Mark Wahlberg, and Jonah Hills. So now we're the first, that was our first job. Hey, if anybody ever tell you that making a movie is glamour, they're lying to you. Jonah and I, we have to learn from the very beginning, but now Jonah become bigger than life. I'm glad he's not in this room. We went on and we shot that movie, and that's how I was introduced into a film. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a storyteller, and my mom was doing that. Now I'm telling story in the form of a film, something that I enjoy very well. So I switched coasts. I went to New York so that I can audition more and instead of commute between Connecticut and New York. But something was aching in my heart. After 18 years of me not seeing my mom, my father, and all my siblings that I left behind, I decided to really take an airplane from JFK and went all the way to Nairobi, Kenya, to Sudan. And I started searching for my mom in 2010 until I find her in the village where she had given birth to me, Akobo. We went and voted it because our country was splitting from the north. We voted together. That's the war that made her lose 6 of her children. So I thought it was the best way for us to do it together so that we vote and then we separate. So all of us had a power to do that, even though we don't have to participate in the physical war. And I told my mom that. Our dream came true that day. South Sudan became an independent country, and I went back to New York. The reason I'm telling you guys this story is because in 2015, I have seen so many refugees fleeing from their own home, looking for places to live. Refugees are your family and mine. They are currently looking for a place to live in this world that we call home, or the place that we share, all of us. If opportunity is provided to refugees, the transformation can occur, and then they can thrive and become citizens of this world. And to me, that's the way that we have to revive the humanity, because we shift away based on conflict that has taken toll on all of us. If intelligent resettlement is given to refugees to give them vital skills with the intention to hire them into the area and use the experiences that they have in these places, that could be another way too to prevent conflict to happen in the first place. And thank you so much. That's my story.